What's good? It's your boy Fanon. All right. I'm going to stay on the same subject that I made a video last time because it is something that I believe is core to my beliefs as a boxing fan. And it's Lennox Lewis ripping into Eddie Hearn specifically this time. There's an article that came out because Eddie Hearn, of course, is upset with Lennox Lewis for putting the blame on Anthony Joshua for not making this fight between he himself and Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. Lennox Lewis says Eddie Hearn was ludicrous and to put your big boy pants on. Now, I'm going to tell you why. After I tell you what he said, I'm going to give you my viewpoint on it, which is essentially, like I said, I believe in that the two most important people in boxing, or types of participants in the sport of boxing, are the boxers and the fans. And that everybody else involved is a middleman. If you're a promoter, if you're a manager, if you're a network, whoever you are, if you are not a fan paying for the fight or a fighter getting in the ring, you are a middleman. And that's what Lennox Lewis and that's what Eddie Hearn is. And Lennox Lewis is a boxer talking about what is right and what is fair for boxers. Now, before I get into that, I want to welcome you back to the channel and ask, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can be notified when we release more videos and when we do our live streams, typically Monday through Friday, 10:15 a.m. Central Standard Time. All right, so let me go through what he says. In my fighting years, I laced my gloves up in the ring for protection of myself and my opponents. Outside the ring, there are no gloves. We do not put pillows on to soften the blow. Eddie needs to put his big boy pants on and understand that criticism and scrutiny are part of the game. No boxer or promoter is above it. Based on what I've heard, my opinion was that Joshua and Hearn needed to step up their game if this fight was going to happen. Joshua versus Wilder is the biggest fight that can be made in the division today and easily becomes one of the biggest in all of boxing. I thought it was ludicrous that Hearn started off by offering Wilder a paycheck for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world instead of a percentage, especially when you consider that they did a split with Joseph Parker for a unification bout. It is disrespectful to the fraternity of boxing and the gains we've made getting fighters a larger percentage of what they put their lives on the line and work so hard for. Too many past fighters, champions never came close to earning their proper piece of the pie. Now, that's why I think it's important to make a second video in a row about this topic. Now, this is something different than Lennox Lewis said, but still, it's an important topic to understand. As a fan of boxing and somebody that talks about boxing to other boxing fans, I'm not a media guy. I'm sharing you my opinion, and I'm a boxing fan, and I'm talking to boxing fans. All right, I do not go to fights and attempt to get interviews with fighters. I don't have a website where I'm putting up and selling product or any of that stuff. I get up in the morning before I do my work and sometimes after I do my work to talk about boxing with a few thousand people that I'm lucky enough to have as subscribers and who talk to me on a regular basis about it. But what I think is most important is, as a fan, I have never in all the time that I've been a fan complained about how much money somebody made. Because I know that boxers are at risk at any moment in the time that they're in a ring of being fatally injured. And I also know that they are the reason that I paid my money to watch the fight. A fight that is unquestionably a beautiful beautifully barbaric sport. And Deontay Wilder getting into the ring with Anthony Joshua puts his life on the line getting in the ring with Anthony Joshua. And one thing that has constantly been said by Eddie Hearn about fighters is they're overpaying this guy, we're overpaying that guy, we overpaid this guy, we overpaid that guy. He said in the past that the PBC is overpaying fighters. Bob Arum talks about overpaying fighters. And every time I hear that, I think to myself, man, how much is somebody's life worth? I mean, I know you can't get paid more money than what is actually on the table. You can't get paid more money than what is actually earned. But it would seem to me that the people that should get the lion's share of that money are the people that are putting their lives on the line. And I've always been critical of high-profile fighters that penny pinched other fighters, especially when they were in a situation where they knew that fighter that was getting penny pinched was a massive underdog. Oscar De La Hoya used to do that. Oscar De La Hoya, I can't remember the name of the guy that Oscar De La Hoya fought, but I remember Oscar De La Hoya fight dang near at the top of his career and a guy getting something like $50,000 to fight him. The dude was going to get beat up for sure. But Oscar De La Hoya and Bob Arum, I think he was with Bob Arum at the time, couldn't see their way to giving this guy a decent cut of the pie for a fight that generated millions and millions of dollars, right? So Anthony Joshua, so when Anthony Joshua talks about how much money these other fighters aren't worth, it seems to me that he is out of touch with the history of boxing. Some of the people that Lennox Lewis are talking about are guys like Archie Moore and guys like Joe Louis. Archie Moore had to give up, I think he got outpaid against Joey Maxim something like 10-1. Something like 10-1, and in order to get a shot at that title, had to give up 10% of his purse for the rest of his career. Joe Louis is famous for having to give up 10% of all his future earnings in boxing in order to get a title shot. You also had guys like Black Murderers Row, Charlie Burley, and guys like that who never even, despite the fact that they were mega talented, super skilled fighters, never even got a shot at the belt and came nowhere close to earning the money that they needed. So when when Lennox Lewis says that it's an insult to the boxing fraternity to offer a paycheck to a guy for a title shot at the undisputed title. Now, the undisputed title is akin to all of the heavyweight championship fights that were in the past, right? All of them up until maybe the late 1960s, right? Is when the WBA, I think when people started breaking off from the WBA, right? But before that, there was just one champion. And every time you fought for an undisputed title. Now you have the titles all divided up. And there's a difference between a unification bout and a fight for undisputed. I've got an obnoxious fan that keeps asking me what I think, and has been, I wouldn't necessarily say trolling with this question, but keeps coming and asking me over and over again, what does undisputed mean to me? And I think what they're trying to say is, why doesn't Deontay Wilder want to take what is offered to him so that he can become undisputed? Isn't that worth that opportunity to be undisputed? Well, it is worth a lot to be the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, clearly. But it is also, there's two people that would be getting in that ring that are not the undisputed champion of the world. One is Deontay Wilder and the other one is Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is not the heavyweight champion of the world, despite what people would like to say, or as Lennox Lewis has said, Joshua's getting too happy. as if he already thinks that he has made it. He is already the champion. He's already the unified champion of the world. And he's not that. But regardless, if you have a mega fight between two champions, to have it 50-50 is one thing. A paycheck is something else. But I also agree with Lennox Lewis in that, look, man, you're going to get criticized. At the end of the day, it's up to both of those guys about whether or not that fight's going to happen. We can talk about A sides and B sides and C sides or whatever, but the truth of the matter, and this is something that has been demonstrated by Deontay Wilder. If both of them are not willing to do that fight's not going to happen. And unless Anthony Joshua can find somebody, some crazy stuff happens where either Deontay Wilder or Tyson Fury are not the WBC champion, and they can find some lackey that's willing to take whatever he offers, Anthony Joshua's not going to be the heavyweight champion of the world. But anyway, man, I really do want to say I appreciate Lennox Lewis for saying that. And people can criticize Lennox Lewis for being a PBC, like, what is it, a PBC lackey or whatever. The fact of the matter is, he is the last true heavyweight champion of the world. Lennox Lewis. He's the last person to hold all the major championship belts. And that is what it is. And with that, I'm out. Peace.